This is an impromptu video by the International False Rape Timeline concerning the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. Even Kellyanne Conway and Donald Trump himself say Kavanaugh's accuser should be heard. I'm going to set out the reasons she should not be heard and why allegations of this nature are totally beneath contempt and unworthy of belief. I'm going to veer off on a bit of a tangent, but please stay with me and the relevance of this will soon become clear. In the UK and many other countries, including the United States, if a man is convicted on indictment, he can appeal his conviction to an appellate court. In the UK, that would be the Court of Appeal. He can also adduce fresh evidence, but fresh evidence will not be allowed just because it's called fresh. Fresh evidence will be admitted where A, it is capable of belief or worthy of belief, and B, where there is a reasonable explanation for the failure to adduce this evidence in the proceedings. The reason for this last stipulation is because, given enough time and resources, any guilty man or his friends can adduce evidence of his innocence. A classic example of this is Lee Harvey Oswald, who was arrested within 2 hours of the Kennedy assassination after he'd murdered someone else, shot dead a police officer. The gun, the assassination rifle, had been bought by him by mail order. He'd been seen in the book depository. And there was a mountain of evidence against him, and yet for the past half century and more, in fact almost as soon as the crime was committed, people have queued up to exonerate him, bringing forward all sorts of nonsense about other nebulous conspiracies and second shooters and so on. In fact, so compelling have been the arguments adduced by the conspirators that many otherwise intelligent people, highly intelligent people, believe either there was a conspiracy to murder the president or that Oswald was totally innocent. We've also seen attempts to introduce exculpatory evidence in murder cases in which the accused was convicted on absolutely overwhelming evidence. And years later, someone has come along and found or claimed to have found witnesses who put him somewhere else. A classic case of this is the mischief making of Clive Stafford Smith regarding the conviction of his chum Krishna Maharaj for the murder of a father and son in a Miami hotel room. Then there is the fallibility of memory and all sorts of other things. The law recognises not just the fallibility of memory, but the possibility and at times the likelihood of fabrication. Yet, when the allegation is one of sexual assault, all this goes out the window. The accuser can report days, months, years, decades later, and she is to be believed. How can you not believe these women? Now I'm going to give you one example, just one example of what could have happened if a rape allegation had been delayed. You'll find this case on the International Forced Rape Timeline. I'll put a link to it below. In 2003, a bloke named Graham Dawes picked up a young woman named Jennifer Osborne. They had a few drinks each. He took her back to his home, his parents' home, and they had sex. Then afterwards he said, want to get a taxi? There's a phone down the street. Words to that effect. In other words, he got what he wanted and he wasn't interested in her anymore. Now, you can call this guy a cad, a rotter, a scoundrel, a pig, and you can add any number of a couple of dozen adjectives to that. But one thing you can't call him was a rapist. Miss Osborne did. She claimed rather than going back to his place and having sex, he dragged her into an alleyway, forced her to have oral sex, forced her to fillet him, said she'd been sick, and then ran off. Mr. Dawes was arrested and told his version, which was the truthful version. Then, as they can do when they are properly motivated, the British police carried out an extremely competent investigation. They went to the alleyway, no sign of any vomit. And weeks later, after the forensic boys had finished, they found a fibre from one of her socks in his bedroom. She'd been wearing socks with boots, and they'd gone upstairs and had sex. At that point she admitted she'd lied, and it was her rather than Mr. Dawes who ended up in the dock. She was given a 9-month sentence. He would have received a much harsher sentence had he been convicted. Now imagine this young woman had delayed reporting for a year. Would they still have found the fibre? Almost certainly not. We're not talking about 1 year here. We're talking about, well, she was meant to have first raised this case in 2012. At least one idiot in the media has claimed her story is corroborated. No. Making an allegation in 2012 and then repeating it 6 years later corroborates nothing. All it does is repeats the same story. Now, without going into the dirty politics here of the odious Dianne Feinstein, why is this evidence so-called so unreliable? For the same reason, only much more so, that the evidence of Jennifer Osborne would have been unreliable had she waited a year to report the rape allegation to the police. There's absolutely nothing to corroborate it. No other women have come forward and accused Kavanaugh of impropriety, which does rather surprise me. I would have thought Gloria Allred would be out touting for liars, but perhaps she feels the public have had a bit too much of her. There's absolutely nothing to back it up, and the position is that Democrats and many others have claimed, well, why would a woman lie? Kamala Harris said this. She said, I believe her. This woman may well run for president in 2020. Even worse, she was the Attorney General of California. Do you really want a woman with that mentality sitting in judgment on serious legal cases, deciding whether or not they're to be prosecuted? One wonders if she would be quite so enthusiastic in her belief of Dr. Ford had her own husband been accused. And yes, incredible though it may seem, Kamala Harris does have a husband. Finally, I will point out that Dr. Ford has a PhD in psychology. Presumably, she has encountered the lost in the marrow experiment. She knows a bit about confabulation and even, dare I suggest, pseudologia fantastica. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever for any court, any police officer, any hearing to credit a reasonably intelligent, educated woman when she comes forward years and decades later and claims to have been raped or been the victim of an attempted rape. That may be something she puts in her autobiography, maybe an anecdote, but it is not evidence. So she does not deserve to be heard. Finally, another person's made a fool of herself, Kirsten Gillibrand. Kirsten Gillibrand, you may recall, endorsed fantasist and head case Emma Solkowitz, and also the UVA hoax. So now she's on a hat trick. That's if we exclude the lies she's endorsed about Donald Trump. Anyway, please check out the International Force Rape Timeline. Don't be taken in at all by this flim-flam about all accusers deserving to be heard. They don't deserve to be heard. Not when they come forward and make allegations of this nature so long in the past.